This is the Acer Aspire GX 781, a gaming desktop which comes in cheaper than what you can possibly build yourself. So now that I've got your attention, let's talk about the specs. So my review sample has the NVIDIA GTX 1060 in there. It's a 3GB model. It also has a Core i5-7400 Kaby Lake CPU paired with 16 gigs of DDR4. There's a 1TB hard drive in there for your giant Steam library and a 256GB SATA but M.2 SSD. So this case is a standard micro ATX case with a plastic front, like nearly every pre-built you can buy. The large power button is on the top, surrounded with brushed aluminium looking plastic. At the front we have a DVD player, SD card reader, audio connections, a USB 3.0 Type B and a Type C connector. There's also Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas hidden in these plastic covers. The styling looks pretty gamerish, but it's still an Aspire product, so you don't pay extra for that Predator logo. The sides are pretty bland with just an intake on the left. At the rear we have a somewhat limited I/O. You get 4 USB 2.0 ports, 1 USB 3.0 port, Gigabit Ethernet and audio jacks. The HDMI ports have blanks in them, but they should work. The GTX 1060 I/O features the standard triple DisplayPort, 1 HDMI and 1 DVI connector. There is also a Kensington lock on the back here for those LAN parties. This system uses standard components, so upgrading it in the future is really easy. All you have to do is remove the 2 screws on the right side panel and the panel just comes off. It is pretty messy looking on the inside, but I think I'm going to blame that on the previous reviewer because I found a cut-off zip tie in the case as well. There isn't any real possibility for cable management like what you would get with more expensive cases, but everything is easy to access. The power supply is a 500 watt 80+ bronze rated model. It also has a 6 and an 8 pin connector for upgrading the GPU later on. The hard drive is mounted on the side, and while it looks like you can upgrade it or install a second hard drive, there are only 2 SATA connectors on the motherboard, so if you want a second hard drive, you'll have to disconnect the optical drive. The SSD is an SK Hynix M.2 drive with pretty decent speeds, but it still operates on SATA protocol, not NVMe. The GPU is a reference 1060 which has an additional support bracket which leans up against the side panel for when you move the system around. A really nice touch. The system comes with Windows 10 Home Edition and quite a few extra programs loaded on top of it, causing the idle CPU usage to actually be pretty high. So I do recommend just wiping all of that bloatware off there. I really don't know why companies keep doing it, but I guess it helps drive the cost down, which is why this system is so cheap for what you get spec-wise. So I've been gaming on the GX for a couple of weeks using the Predator Z1 monitor, which is right behind me, and I'll put a video review of that monitor up next week, so subscribe for that video. The experience was pretty good. The system didn't get too loud, it didn't get too hot, and it was just completely stable as you would expect, so great experience. Let's move on to performance numbers then. The GX 781 is a solid performer for its price. The games I played all ran smooth, even at the highest settings. It really has all the power you need. If you want to stream games, you're probably fine too, but exporting videos may take a while because it's only a 4-core CPU. During testing, temperatures stayed fine despite the lack of any case fans. I did, however, find the noise when idling slightly bothersome. This is probably a non-issue for most users though. I didn't include any esports titles in this review because basically CSGO, League of Legends, Rocket League, all those games stayed well above the 200 FPS that this monitor can show. So the GX really is an amazing desktop. It's a very solid performer, especially for the price point, but even later on, if you need to upgrade it, it uses standard components, so you can easily swap in a new GPU, a new motherboard, new CPU, all that sort of stuff, which really makes it future-proof while still being really good right now. So to really conclude this video, I have to go back to what I started with, which was the price. Now, in the comparison that you see right now, I did not include an optical drive, Wi-Fi, all that sort of stuff, or Bluetooth, and still my PC was more expensive if you just configure it yourself. And then you don't get all the warranty, you don't get, well, basically the ease of having someone else assemble it for you. So overall, I can really recommend this thing, even if you're into building PCs yourself. Anyway guys, if you like this video, press that like button. If you didn't, hit the subscribe button for when I make a video that you do like the Z1 review coming up next week, for example. And if you want to follow the channel more on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, there are links in the video description. Also, there's a Patreon page, so you can support the channel if you really want to. For now though, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.